The mockery begins. In a grand hall filled with various alien races, the Galactic Council gathered to discuss an urgent matter. Bright lights illuminated the chamber, showcasing the many strange forms of life that had come from across the galaxy. Some were tall and slender with shimmering skin, while others were short and stout, covered in colorful fur. The air buzzed with chatter and laughter as council members debated the so-called weaknesses of humanity. At the center of the hall stood an ancient human warship, a relic of a long-gone era. Its hull was dark and battle-scarred, evidence of the many fights it had endured. The ship had been brought to this council meeting as a joke, a symbol of what aliens believed to be the outdated technology of humans. Alien leaders pointed and laughed, mocking the warship and the species it represented. "This old thing is supposed to be a warship," scoffed an alien with multiple eyes, its voice dripping with disdain. "It looks like it belongs in a museum, not on the battlefield." The others joined in the laughter, echoing the sentiment. "It's nothing but a relic," another alien chimed in, its tentacles waving in the air. "How can we fear a species that relies on such ancient technology?" Among the crowd, a human ambassador named James stood with his head held high. His heart sank at the insults hurled at his species. He felt a mix of anger and humiliation, but remained silent. The other ambassadors from different species had already dismissed him as weak and foolish. As the mocking continued, a soft beep echoed from the warship. The sound caught the attention of the aliens. "What is that noise?" one asked, narrowing its eyes at the ship. James felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was still life in this old vessel, something that could prove them wrong. He glanced at the ship, remembering the stories of humanity's past victories. The warship was built for more than just show. It had a history of bravery and strength. He wanted to defend his people, but how could he do it against such overwhelming laughter? "Let's see how it stands up to our technology," shouted a large alien, its voice booming across the hall. "Why don't we have a demonstration? Let's put it to the test." The crowd cheered at the idea. James felt a chill run down his spine. This was not what he had hoped for when he came to the Galactic Council. The aliens were ready to pit their ships against this ancient relic, and he feared they would destroy it before he could prove its worth. "Bring it to the battlefield," an alien commander declared, waving its arm dramatically. "Let's end this joke once and for all." Before James could object, the crowd surged forward, pushing him aside as they began preparing for a battle demonstration. The atmosphere shifted from mocking laughter to an electric excitement. The aliens were eager to show how weak humanity really was, and James could only watch as they made plans to confront the warship. As preparations were made, James slipped away from the chaos and found himself in a quiet corner of the hall. He could see the warship through a glass wall, its imposing frame silhouetted against the bright lights. He felt a sense of pride wash over him, mixed with fear of what was to come. "Is this all we have left?" he whispered to himself. "An old ship in a museum." Just then, he noticed a strange glow emanating from the warship's control panel. Curiosity piqued, James stepped closer. He pressed a button on the panel, and suddenly, the ship sprang to life. Lights flickered, and a low hum filled the air. The ship had awakened, and it seemed to be responding to his presence. "Is anyone there?" A voice crackled through the ship's intercom. It was deep and resonant, almost like a heartbeat, initiating systems check. James's eyes widened in disbelief. The warship was still operational. It had been waiting, dormant for centuries, but now it had a chance to fight back. The laughter of the aliens faded into the background as hope began to build in his heart. "Let's show them what we can do," he murmured, feeling a new sense of determination. As the council members gathered in a large room, preparing for the demonstration, James knew he had to act quickly. He rushed back to the main chamber, where the aliens were boasting about their advanced technology and their plans to destroy the warship. "Wait," he shouted, interrupting their mockery. The room fell silent as the aliens turned to stare at him, surprised by his sudden boldness. "This warship is more than just an old relic. It has a legacy of power and resilience. The crowd began to murmur. What do you mean? An alien questioned, curiosity breaking through the mocking laughter. James took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. This ship has fought battles long before most of you were born. It was designed for victory, and it still holds secrets that you cannot fathom. Secrets. An alien laughed, its voice full of disbelief. What secrets could an old ship possibly have? Before he could answer, the council leader spoke up. Enough. We will see for ourselves on the battlefield. Prepare the ships. The aliens moved quickly, and James could feel the weight of his words hanging in the air. The warship was about to face a challenge it had not encountered in centuries, and the humans were ready to prove their worth. As the chamber doors swung open, James made his way toward the warship, determination burning in his chest. The laughter of the aliens faded away, replaced by a sense of purpose. He would not allow humanity to be ridiculed any longer. This was their moment, and he was ready to fight. With the warship fully powered and its ancient systems humming with energy, James took one last glance at the mocking aliens before stepping inside. He was ready to face whatever came next, determined to show the galaxy the true power of humanity. The awakening. Inside the ancient warship, the air was thick with anticipation. The ship's control room, once dark and still, now pulsed with a soft, blue light. As James stepped inside, he felt a mix of awe and fear. The ship was alive, and it felt like it was waiting for him to command it. Initializing core systems, the ship's AI voice echoed, calm and authoritative. Accessing historical data, all systems operational. James looked around, taking in the complex controls and screens displaying maps of the galaxy. Old images flickered to life, showing battles fought long ago. His heart raced as he realized the weight of what he had just awakened. "Who are you?" the ship's voice asked, cutting through his thoughts. "And why have you activated me?" "I am James, the ambassador for humanity," he replied, trying to steady his voice. "I need your help. The Galactic Council has mocked us, and they intend to destroy you." "Destruction is not an option," the ship responded. "I have a duty to protect humanity. We will show them our strength." James smiled, feeling a surge of hope. This ship was more than just an ancient relic. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience. He knew they had a chance to turn the tide. But first, he had to gather a crew to help pilot the ship. "Prepare for crew activation," he commanded, feeling the newfound confidence. "I need skilled individuals to operate this ship." "Accessing human database for crew selection," the ship replied, identifying candidates. While the ship processed the data, James thought of the people he trusted. He remembered his friend, Sarah, a brilliant engineer, and Captain Allen, a seasoned pilot who had seen countless battles. They would be essential for the ship's success. "Ship, can you locate Sarah and Captain Allen?" he asked. "Locating crew members, identified. Connecting now." As the ship began to reach out, James felt a connection to it. It was as if the warship shared his determination to fight back. Soon, images of his friends appeared on the control screens, displaying their locations within the Council's facility. "Prepare to summon them," he instructed. The ship responded instantly, sending a signal to bring Sarah and Captain Allen to the warship. Minutes passed, and James paced the room, anxiety building within him. Would they believe him? Would they be willing to join this ancient warship on such a dangerous mission? Just as he began to doubt, the door slid open, and in walked Sarah, her eyes wide with surprise. "James, what's happening?" she exclaimed, glancing at the ship. "I heard the alarms." "Is that the old warship?" "Yes," he replied, relief washing over him. "I've activated it. The Galactic Council is planning to mock and destroy it. But we can turn this around. We can fight back." Sarah's face shifted from confusion to determination. "I'm in, but we'll need more than just the two of us." As if on cue, Captain Allen entered the room. He had a stern look on his face, but it softened when he saw James and Sarah. "What's going on?" he asked, crossing his arms. "I felt the energy shift in this place. Did you really activate the old warship?" "Yes, and we need your help," James said, urgency in his voice. "The Council is about to challenge us. We can't let them destroy this ship. It holds our legacy, our strength." Captain Allen looked at the ship, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "This ship has a reputation. If it's truly operational, we might stand a chance." "Exactly," James said, feeling the excitement grow. "We can show them what humanity is capable of. We'll take the fight to them." "Let's get to work," Sarah said, her engineering instincts kicking in. "I'll check the systems, make sure everything is ready for battle." Alan nodded, already moving to the control panel. "I'll plot our course. We need to be strategic. If they think we're weak, they'll come at us full force." As they all took their places, the warship hummed with energy. The ship's AI provided updates on its status, and the atmosphere became charged with determination. "Systems check complete. Weapons are primed. Shields at maximum," the ship announced. "We are ready for battle." James felt a surge of pride. This was more than just a ship. It was a powerful reminder of humanity's past victories. They were about to reclaim their honor. "Let's prepare for the demonstration," James said, glancing at the countdown timer that indicated the time until the council meeting began. "We have to show them we're not to be underestimated." With a final nod of agreement, the crew moved into action. Sarah dove into the engineering bay, her fingers dancing across the control panels, checking every system for efficiency. Alan focused on the navigation, inputting coordinates to prepare for their entry into the battlefield. As they worked, James felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He knew the stakes were high, and failure was not an option. This was their chance to change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. The countdown continued, and anticipation filled the air. Soon, they would face the Council and their fleet. James turned to the ship, placing a hand on its console. "We will not let you down," he whispered, feeling a deep connection to the vessel. "Together, we will show them our strength." With a final glance at his crew, he knew they were ready. The ancient warship had awakened, and humanity was about to rise from the ashes of mockery. The first encounter. The moment had arrived. The ancient human warship glided through the void of space, heading towards the Galactic Council's designated battlefield. James stood at the helm, his heart pounding in anticipation. Beside him, Captain Allen monitored the ship's systems, while Sarah ensured that all engineering functions were running smoothly. Entering the designated zone, Allen announced, his eyes focused on the view screen, which displayed the vast expanse of stars. "The Council's fleet is already here. They're waiting for us." James' stomach churned. He knew the aliens were eager to prove their superiority. "Prepare for communication," he instructed, trying to keep his voice steady. "Let them know we're here." Allen nodded, tapping a few commands into the control panel. Moments later, the screen flickered, and the image of the council leader appeared, flanked by various alien representatives. Their expressions ranged from amusement to skepticism. "Welcome, humans," the council leader said, its voice dripping with condescension. "Are you ready to face the truth of your obsolescence?" James swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their laughter from earlier. "We're here to show you the power of humanity," he replied, trying to project confidence. "This warship is more than a relic. It carries the legacy of our strength and resilience." Laughter erupted from the council chamber. "A legacy?" An alien with bright scales scoffed. "This old ship? You must be joking." "We'll see who's laughing soon enough," James shot back, his determination rising. "We challenge your fleet to a demonstration. Let's see if you can withstand what this warship can do." The council members exchanged glances, their amusement fading slightly. "Very well," the leader said, raising an eyebrow. "Let the demonstration begin." Prepare to engage our fleet. As the communication ended, the ship's AI chimed in. Weapons are primed. Shields at maximum. We are ready for engagement. Alan, plot a strategic course around their fleet, James commanded. We need to keep them guessing. With swift precision, Alan input the coordinates. Course set. We'll approach from the flank and use the element of surprise. Sarah looked up from her engineering station, her eyes bright with excitement. I'm ready to assist with weapon systems. Let's show them what we're capable of. James nodded, his heart racing. He could feel the ship's energy coursing through him. It was time to turn the tides of mockery into respect. Let's do this, he said, taking a deep breath. Engage. With a powerful surge, the ancient warship propelled forward, cutting through space like a comet. The view screen displayed the alien fleet ahead. Massive ships adorned with advanced technology, their hulls glinting under distant stars. As they approached, the Council fleet began to react. Alarms blared, and the ships turned to face the oncoming human vessel. James felt the tension rise as he watched the enemy ships form a defensive line. Ready the weapons, Alan commanded, his voice steady. We're about to make our mark. Firing sequence engaged, Sarah reported, her fingers dancing over the controls. On your command. James's heart raced as he took in the sight of the alien fleet. This was humanity's chance to reclaim their honor, to show the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. Now, he shouted, raising his fist. The warship unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, bright beams slicing through space towards the alien ships. Explosions erupted as the blasts made contact, sending shockwaves through the enemy fleet. The laughter that had echoed in the council chamber was silenced by the sound of destruction. Direct hit. Sarah cheered, her voice filled with exhilaration. We're taking them by surprise. Keep firing, James shouted, feeling adrenaline coursing through him. Don't let up. The ancient warship continued its assault, energy beams lighting up the darkness of space. James could see the alien ships struggling to regroup, their confidence shaken by the unexpected ferocity of the human warship. Changing course, Alan said, navigating the ship skillfully. We're moving in for another strike. As they maneuvered through the chaos, James felt a sense of pride swell within him. They were proving their worth, and the tide of the battle was shifting. The alien fleet was disorganized, their attempts to retaliate faltering against the ancient warship's unexpected power. Shields holding strong, Sarah called out, her focus unwavering. We can take more hits if needed. James glanced at the view screen, watching the chaos unfold. The Council's ships were no longer laughing. They were scrambling to defend themselves, their advanced technology failing to counter the surprise and strength of the warship. Let's go for their flagship, James said, pointing at the largest ship in the fleet. If we take that down, we'll send a clear message. The aftermath of victory. The echoes of victory rang through the ancient warship. The crew stood in disbelief, their faces lit with excitement and triumph. James looked around the control room, taking in the smiles and cheers of his team. They had done the impossible. They had struck a powerful blow against the Galactic Council. Status report, James commanded, eager to hear how they had fared in the battle. Shields holding at 75%, Sarah reported, her eyes sparkling. We took some hits, but nothing critical. The ship is in great shape. Alan grinned, his fingers dancing over the controls. We've successfully disabled their flagship. The remaining alien vessels are fleeing into hyperspace. We've won this encounter. James let out a sigh of relief and exhilaration. Prepare a transmission to the Council. Let them know what they've witnessed today. As Alan worked on the communication systems, James couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had faced mockery and scorn, but they had stood their ground and fought back. Humanity had proven its worth in the eyes of the galaxy. The view screen flickered to life, showing the council chamber once again. The alien representatives appeared disheveled, their confidence shaken by the defeat. The leader looked visibly upset, its scales dimmed in color. "You dare to speak to us after this destruction?" The leader fumed, its voice filled with anger. "You have insulted the Galactic Council." James stepped forward, his voice steady. "We have shown you the strength of humanity. Your laughter was misplaced, and today we proved that you are not as powerful as you believed." The council members exchanged uncertain glances, their bravado faltering. "This is not over, human," the leader warned, its eyes narrowing. "You have made a dangerous enemy today." James met its gaze with unwavering determination. "We welcome the challenge. Underestimate us at your own peril." With that, the transmission ended, leaving the crew buzzing with excitement. They had sent a clear message. Humanity was back, and they would no longer be dismissed or mocked. "Let's celebrate," Sarah exclaimed, pumping her fist in the air. "We've earned it." "Agreed," Ellen added, grinning from ear to ear. "We should take some time to revel in our victory." James felt a surge of camaraderie among his crew. They had fought together, faced danger, and emerged victorious. He smiled, feeling grateful for each of them. "All right, let's have a little celebration," he said, trying to keep the mood light. "But let's not forget our mission. We need to stay alert. This fight is far from over." The crew nodded in agreement, understanding the importance of remaining vigilant. They gathered in the common area, sharing stories and laughter, recounting the highlights of the battle. The atmosphere was filled with joy, a stark contrast to the tension that had gripped them just hours before. As the celebration continued, James couldn't help but think about what lay ahead. The Galactic Council would not take their defeat lightly. They would likely regroup and plot their revenge. Humanity had proven its strength, but it had also attracted the ire of powerful enemies. Later that evening, as the crew began to wind down, James found himself deep in thought. He walked out onto the observation deck, gazing at the stars that twinkled in the vastness of space. He could still feel the rush of adrenaline from the battle, the thrill of proving their worth. "Captain," Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. She joined him on the deck, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think the council will retaliate?" James sighed, knowing the answer. "Yes, I believe they will. We've made a statement today, but we've also drawn their attention. We need to prepare for what comes next. We can't let fear hold us back." Sarah replied, her voice resolute. "We've shown we can fight back, and we must continue to defend our place in the galaxy." James nodded, appreciating her strength. "You're right. We need to build on this momentum and prepare for whatever they throw at us next. We can't lose sight of our goals." As they stood together, looking out into the vastness of space, a sense of purpose washed over them. They had awakened something powerful within themselves and within their ship. The ancient warship was not just a relic. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience and strength. "Let's get back to work," James said, turning to Sarah with a determined expression. "We need to strategize and ensure that we're ready for whatever the council has planned. We're just getting started." As they walked back inside, James felt the thrill of battle still coursing through his veins. The crew was united, their spirits high, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did they know, the Galactic Council was already plotting their revenge, and the next encounter would test humanity's resolve like never before. But for now, they had emerged victorious, and they would not back down. The war for respect had just begun, and humanity was prepared to fight for its place among the stars. A new threat. Days passed since the victory over the Galactic Council, and the crew of the ancient warship was riding high on their success. James felt a sense of optimism among his team. Their confidence had grown, and they were eager to defend humanity's place in the galaxy. However, deep down, he knew that the council would not take their defeat lightly. "Captain, we've received an incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," Alan announced one afternoon, his expression serious. The festive atmosphere of the past few days faded as James turned his attention to the screen. The view screen flickered, revealing the council leader once again. This time, it appeared even more agitated, its scales pulsing with vivid colors. "Humans, you have made a grave mistake," it began, its voice laced with anger. "Your actions will have consequences." James straightened his posture, ready to confront whatever threat the council was about to lay down. "We stand by our actions. You underestimated us, and we showed you the strength of humanity." The leader's expression twisted into a snarl. "We are not merely mocked by your old warship. We have summoned our allies, and we will demonstrate the true might of the Galactic Council." James felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean by allies?" "Prepare yourself for a demonstration of our collective power," the leader hissed, its voice cold and foreboding. "You may have defeated one fleet, but you will face the wrath of many." With that, the transmission cut off, leaving James and his crew in stunned silence. The reality of their situation began to sink in. They had awakened something far more dangerous than they anticipated. "Captain, what are we going to do?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with concern. James took a deep breath, trying to keep his composure. "We need to prepare. We must assess our defenses and be ready for an attack." "Do we know who their allies are?" Ellen queried, tapping away at his console to gather information. "Not yet, but we can assume they will be powerful," James replied. "We need to strategize and work on our battle plan." The crew quickly sprang into action, gathering in the war room to discuss their next steps. Maps of the galaxy displayed potential conflict zones and routes of possible attack. The mood in the room was tense, but James could sense a determination building among his crew. "All right, listen up," he said, addressing everyone. "The Galactic Council is gathering forces against us. We need to prepare for a possible multi-front battle. Our ancient warship may be powerful, but we need to be smart about this." Alan nodded, his fingers flying over the controls as he accessed data. "I suggest we scout the surrounding areas for any unusual fleet movements. We need to know what we're up against before they strike." "That's a good idea," Sarah added. "We should also work on enhancing our shields and weapons. If they're coming for us with a united force, we'll need every advantage we can get." James felt a surge of pride at their teamwork. "Let's split up our tasks. Ellen, coordinate the scouts. Sarah, focus on upgrading our weapon systems. I'll monitor communications and keep an eye out for any incoming threats." The crew dispersed, each member determined to do their part. James felt a sense of urgency in the air. They had faced a challenge before, but this was different. They were up against an alliance of powerful enemies who would not rest until humanity was subdued. As the hours turned into days, the crew worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses. They modified the ancient warship's weapons, upgrading them with advanced technology they had salvaged from previous battles. The ship became a beacon of hope, a symbol of humanity's resilience. James spent his nights analyzing data, studying the movements of the Galactic Council and its allies. They were preparing for something big, and he needed to be ready. Then, one day, the alert sounded through the ship. "Incoming vessels detected." Ellen's voice rang through the intercom, urgency in his tone. James rushed to the control room, his heart racing. The view screen displayed a swarm of alien ships approaching. The Council had indeed gathered its allies. "How many ships are we looking at?" James demanded. "Estimated at least 20 vessels, Captain," Allen reported, his fingers racing across the console. "They're heading straight for us." "Prepare for battle," James commanded, adrenaline coursing through him. "Activate shields and ready weapons." As the crew moved with purpose, Sarah's voice came through the comms. "Weapons are primed and ready, Captain. Shields are at maximum strength. Keep our defenses strong," James ordered, watching the screen as the alien fleet closed in. "Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The tension in the air was palpable as the alien ships drew closer. James could see their menacing silhouettes against the backdrop of stars, a reminder of the impending conflict. They had come to settle the score. And this time, they were not alone. "Captain, they're opening fire," Alan shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "Brace for impact," James yelled, gripping the control panel as the first blast rocked the ship. The ancient warship shuddered, but the shields held strong. "Return fire," James commanded, his determination unwavering. "Show them that we will not back down." The crew sprang into action, unleashing a torrent of energy blasts toward the approaching fleet. The ancient warship was no longer a relic. It was a force to be reckoned with. The fight for humanity's place among the stars had truly begun, and they were ready to defend their legacy. The tide turns. The battle raged on, and the ancient warship stood its ground against the advancing alien fleet. James felt the adrenaline pumping through his veins as he barked orders, directing his crew with determination. They had proven themselves in the past, but this was a new challenge, one that would require every ounce of their strength and cunning. "Captain, they're attempting to flank us," Sarah shouted from her station, her eyes scanning the tactical display. "They're trying to divide our fire." "Redirect our weapons," James ordered, his mind racing. "We need to focus fire on the closest vessels. Don't let them get behind us." The ship shuddered again as enemy fire rained down upon them. James gripped the control panel tightly, willing the ship to hold steady. The crew worked in unison, their movements seamless and efficient. He could see the fear in their eyes, but he also saw something else: resolve. As they fired back at the enemy, James noticed a pattern emerging in their attack strategy. "Alan, can you analyze their formations? There's a weakness we can exploit." Alan's fingers flew over the console, rapidly processing data. "It looks like they're clustering around their flagship for support. If we can take out that ship, the others may falter." "Then let's do it," James replied, feeling a surge of hope. "Concentrate all fire on the flagship. That's our target." The crew responded with renewed vigor, focusing their efforts on the massive alien vessel at the center of the fleet. Energy blasts flew through space, striking the flagship with powerful impacts. For a moment, it appeared as though they might succeed. "Shields at 50%. Sarah called out, her voice strained. "We're taking heavy damage." "Hold strong. We're almost there," James encouraged, refusing to let despair seep into their ranks. He could see the flagship's shields flickering, a sign that they were wearing it down. The final stand. As the crew of the ancient warship prepared for the risky boarding operation, tension filled the control room. The looming threat of the massive alien vessel pressed down on them like a weight, but the determination in James's heart remained steadfast. They had come too far to back down now. "All right, listen up," James called to his team, gathering them in the war room. "We've got one shot at this. We need to disable their weapon systems from the inside. Sarah, who do you want to take with you?" Sarah scanned the room, her gaze falling on a few of their bravest crew members. "I'll take Ellen, of course, and let's bring Morgan and Riley. They both have experience in hand-to-hand combat." James nodded, impressed by her quick thinking. "Make sure you're equipped with everything you need. We'll keep the ship's shields up and cover you as best we can." "Understood, Captain," Sarah replied, her eyes fierce with determination. As the team suited up, James returned to his station, heart pounding with anticipation. "Alan, keep a close eye on the boarding team. We'll need to know when to pull them back if things go south." "Don't worry, Captain. I've got their location locked in," Alan said, his fingers dancing over the console. "And I'll coordinate our defenses to ensure they're covered while they're inside." With the boarding party ready, James focused on the tactical display. The alien warship loomed larger on the screen, its dark silhouette menacing against the backdrop of stars. "Remember, the goal is to disable their weapons and communications. We can't allow them to call for reinforcements." The team gathered at the airlock, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "Let's do this," Sarah exclaimed, and with that, they stepped into the unknown. The airlock opened, and the team propelled themselves toward the enemy ship using jetpacks, approaching the hull with precision. As they reached the surface, they quickly scanned for an entry point. "There's a maintenance hatch here," Alan shouted, pointing to a small door slightly ajar. They slipped inside, moving quickly and quietly through the dark corridors. "Stay sharp," Sarah whispered, leading the way. "We don't know what's waiting for us." As they navigated the ship's dimly lit hallways, they encountered a series of locked doors. Alan worked his magic, hacking into the systems to gain access. "I've got the doors open, but we need to keep moving." They made their way toward the weapons control room, adrenaline heightening their senses. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed down the corridor. "Hide," Sarah hissed, and the team ducked behind a nearby panel. 2 alien soldiers passed by, their armor glinting ominously under the lights. They spoke in low, guttural voices, clearly unaware of the intruders lurking just out of sight. As the aliens moved on, Sarah breathed a sigh of relief. "Let's go. We don't have much time." They pressed on, finally reaching the weapons control room. Alan's fingers flew over the console as he worked to override the alien security system. "I'm in. Let's take out their weapons." "Cover me," Sarah shouted as she moved to the control panel, ready to disable the ship's defenses. Just as she began entering commands, alarms blared throughout the ship. "They know we're here," Alan yelled, panic rising in his voice. "Get ready." Sarah snapped, focused on her task. "We need to finish this before they overwhelm us." With every second that passed, the sound of alien soldiers approaching grew louder. "We have to hurry," Morgan urged, looking nervously at the door. "Almost done," Sarah shouted, sweat beading on her forehead as she continued to work frantically at the console. With one final command, the screen flashed red. "Yes, their weapons are disabled," she exclaimed, but there was no time to celebrate. The door burst open, and alien soldiers flooded in, their weapons drawn. "Get back," Alan shouted, raising his weapon as the team prepared for a fight. A fierce battle erupted in the small room. The crew fought with everything they had, using their training and teamwork to fend off the attackers. Sarah found herself face to face with an alien soldier, her heart pounding as she grappled with it, her instincts kicking in. "Keep pushing," James's voice echoed through the comms, and she felt a surge of determination. They were fighting for their survival, for humanity's future. As they battled, Sarah noticed the console flickering. "Alan, can you trigger a self-destruct sequence on this ship?" "On it," Alan replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "We'll make sure they can't follow us back."